Greetings and welcome back to Haftarot, the weekly video cast in which we take a look at the upcoming week's Haftara, understand its basic message, and try to, if possible, associate it with the week's Kriyat Torah. My name is Yitzchak Etshalom. I'm delighted to be studying Haftarat Parashat Re'eh with you. Parashat Re'eh, by the way, is a parasha that sometimes falls out on Rosh Chodesh Elul, and as a result, in some communities, the special Haftara of Nechama is delayed, and the Haftara of Shabbat Rosh Chodesh, which is also from that part of Yeshayahu, is read, and then this Haftara is joined with Ki Teitzei, as the two are adjacent in the text. However, this year, Parashat Re'eh is not Rosh Chodesh, and we have a chance to read this Haftara. A note here, and I'm going to keep this page up for a minute so you can screenshot it if you'd like, and I give you a little bit of a puzzle and something that perhaps you'd like to take a look at over the course of the week or between now and Shabbat. As we all know, when we study Tanakh on multiple planes. We first of all study Tanakh in what we call Pshat. Try to understand what the text is communicating, what the original intent of the text is, the straightforward meaning of the text in its context. But beyond that, certainly there are sections in Tanakh, and perhaps all of Tanakh, which is written in a way that allows us to read other things from it and other things into it. And this is a method that we broadly refer to as midrash. The reason I'm bringing this up in this section is because there's a very famous midrash that is based on a pasuk in a very short haftarah, and it shows up in two different ways, and I showed to you in the pain. In most of its occurrences in the Bavli and in the Yerushalmi, it appears as follows: Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar B'Shem Rabbi Chanina, or Amar Rabbi Chanina, Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. The Talmidei Chachamim create lots of peace in the world. And then in the Bavli Shinemar, in the Yerushalmi Matam, V'chol banayich limudei Adonai v'rav shlom banayich. All of your sons, your children, are learned of God, and there is much peace for your sons or for your children. And the association here seems to be quite clear that those of your children who are learned of God are going to have much peace. By the way, how do you have much peace? So I heard a very interesting comment about that many years ago. Either you have peace or you don't. What does it mean to have Rav Shalom? And the idea is that because Talmidei Chachamim are always engaged in the battle for truth, so they're always in a contentious mode, and yet when they complete that process of chavruta and of distillation among the group of what the truth is, then they arrive at some sort of an understanding, even if the understanding is we agree to disagree. And so they increase peace, which means they create many opportunities for peacemaking after the battle of Torah. However, at the end of Masachet Brachot, in what is perhaps the most familiar and popular quote of this passage, Amar Rabbi Elazar Amar Rabbi Chanina Tamnei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Bolam Shene'emar V'chol banayich limudei Adonai v'rav shlom banayich, and then it concludes with this unusual phrase, Al tikrei banayich ela bonayich. Do not read the word banayich, but rather read bonayich, your builders. And as I ask here, first of all, the word banayich shows up twice in the pasuk. Which banayich is the text adjusting? Which one is saying should we be read as bonayich instead of banayich? The second thing is, what's gained from that change? After all, as we see in the Yerushalmi and as we see in other cases in the Bavli, where it's quoted this way without the Al Tikrei, we're satisfied with the pasuk as is. What's being gained here? So see what you come up with, and let me know what you think about it. In the meantime, let's take a look at our Haftara. The Haftara is from Yeshayahu Nun Daled. It's from the second half of Nun Daled, and it goes to the beginning of Nun Hey. As a matter of fact, the very next pasuk is pasuk that we're all familiar with, Dirshu Adonai Bihimatzo Karauhu Biyoto Karov, which is the beginning of the Haftara. That in some communities is said on the Tanit Tzibur, but is also the phrase which sets the tone for the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, as Chazal say, when is a time that God is found? God is found between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. God is more accessible, whatever that may mean. And so this brings us right up to that point. And in this, the third Haftara of Nechama, which again has no direct correlation or association with the Parasha, the Comforter is describing the beautiful life that will exist once the consolation has happened and once the return has happened. And again, this is Yeshayahu speaking to the people in Bavel about their impending aliyah, about the opportunity to come back. And we find in Pasuk Yod Gimel, the third Pasuk of this Haftarah, the passage that I mentioned. You notice in Pasuk Yod Zayin, for instance, the notion that nobody will ever again be able to overcome you. Kol kli yutzar alayich lo yitzlach. Any vessel that is fashioned in order to hurt you will not be successful. And anybody who stands up and tries to challenge you in court, as it were, will be defeated. God makes that promise. And then he says, Hoi kol tzamei l'chulamayim b'asher en lo kasef l'chu shiru v'echol l'chu shiru lo chesef lo machir yain v'chalav. And God is inviting everyone to come and partake of the bounty. And even if they don't yet have the proper means or perhaps even the proper zechuyot, proper merits to enjoy the bounty of the land, that they are invited to do so anyways on God's credit as it is. And the final pasuk here, all sorts of nations that you were not even aware of are going to come running to you. Why? In order to find out about God. In other words, there's an important message here. Obviously, all the messages here are important. But the message is, I am bringing you back. I am going to restore you. I'm going to give you the good of the land. But there's a purpose there. And the purpose is that you should then build a society which is going to attract nations you've never heard of. They're going to come and want to find out about the God of Israel and the inspiration behind the great society that you build. That is a wonderful piece of inspiration for us. And Mir Hashem will have a Shabbat Shalom and a Chodesh Tov coming up. And we will have every opportunity to enjoy the nechama that we are seeing in our time. Shabbat Shalom.